This is the iconic F4 Phantom II jet that came into service in 1960. It was the first multi-service aircraft in the United States Armed Services, meaning the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Marine Corps, and the United States Navy all flew it at the same time. This bad boy was the Air Force version. That's why we have the camouflage. This is flown in Vietnam. It had two J79 General Electric turbofan engines, 16,000 maximum pound payload, maximum range of 2,300 miles, and maximum speed 1,500 miles per hour. They built 5,195 of these bad birds. This one is the A4 Skyhawk, or the baby Skyhawk. It was very small, very cheap, but served the United States Navy and Marine Corps for many, many years throughout Vietnam and also into Desert Storm. A lot of Marine pilots got their carrier aviation qualifications flying this onto the decks. This is a Navy version of an A4 Skyhawk. Beautiful plane, beautiful plane. Another Vietnam veteran workhorse. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a Kambera. This is a photo reconnaissance version. And there's another one. And up here, next to this black U.S. Air Force Kambera, is my plane that I love more than probably any plane next to the F4 Phantom II. And this is the F-105 Thunder Chief. The largest single seat. This is the double seat Wild Weasel version. But the single seat version was the largest single seat fighter, bomber, aircraft ever, jet aircraft ever produced by the United States military. This is the Wild Weasel variant of the F-105G. As you can see, the wasp waist was very famous look, and that's where the red inlets are. This is a beautiful plane. This is a monster aircraft, an absolute monster aircraft. This is the 105G double seat Wild Weasel. This is the bird that went after the SAMs in Vietnam. This is the bird them crazy pilots would fly, so the enemy would shoot at them. They would shoot the missiles at them. Then they would swoop down and knock them out. The Wild Weasel. Very famous squadron in Vietnam. And they still have them today. Not the plane, but the Wild Weasels. Up here we have the A7 Corsair. This was a low-level ground attack plane that flew off of decks for the United States Navy. Marine Corps flew them offshore, and these gave a lot of ground support to the soldiers in Vietnam. Very, very, very lethal attack plane. If it looks familiar, well, that's because it uses the body frame of an F-8 Crusader. This is the A7 Corsair II attack bomber. Maximum speed 650 miles an hour, 1,000-mile range, 20,000 pound payload, and it had one Allison TF-41 Spey engine. Sorry for the aircraft above me, but I am at an airport, so you have to excuse that. And then the last plane I'm going to show for today is this bad boy right up here, which was called the Hun. This is the F-100. This is the F-100 Super Sabre. It came online in 1953. This was the first supersonic aircraft in the United States military, meaning it went beyond Mach 1, meaning it was the first plane at level flight that broke the sound barrier. First flight was in 1953. They called this plane the Hun, the F-100 Super Sabre. Beautiful aircraft. Okay, hope you enjoyed this, my friends. We got one more I'm going to show, and this is the most iconic aircraft of the Vietnam War. And this is the Bell Iroquois, or what they call the Huey helicopter. Its real name is Iroquois, but it was nicknamed Huey. And I'll give you a little quick rundown of that. This helicopter actually flew in Vietnam from 1969 to 1971. It's a UH-1, and when the Vietnamese on the ground would see UH-1 on the side, they would pronounce it, instead of saying UH-1 like we would, you see right here, UH-1, they would pronounce that as Ooey, and then that came to Huey. So that's where the nickname Huey helicopter came from. It actually came from the Vietnamese people in Vietnam that pronounced UH-1 as Huey. But we know it as the Iroquois, the Bell Iroquois. Very iconic helicopter. This one, like I said, flew from 1969 June till November 1971. This actually flown missions, many missions, they were telling me, in Vietnam. Absolutely wonderful, beautiful specimen. Okay, my friends, God bless you. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.